Snap is done. And I'm sure all of you are going to be wondering what is the difference between Snap 1 and Snap 2. So this is the quick impression that your pattern is similar. Of course, there's no change in the pattern, and which is same as your test 1. In fact, the test that was conducted on December 10th. The general English, no RCs are yet again. This, in fact, I think English has been more or less the same. However, there seems to be a little bit of surprise when it comes to quant, and even in fact of logical reasoning. There are certain types of questions that have come this time, which were not included in the test 1. For example, calendars and all that, which were there in the Snap 2021. So if you look at it, this is a combo of Snap 2021 and the test 1 window. Quant was a little more lengthier. This is a quick feedback that we have from students and also from faculty who have taken it. Takes a little more time, little more, probably a little more effort to solve questions. Calculation heavy, tougher than, so I mean, there's a general perception that probably it was a marginally tougher than the previous test window, which implies, whereas the English is more or less the same. And so what's the kind of scores that we think, right? And on an overall basis, in this paper, right? Probably it is possible to get English was probably a marginally easier, right? Marginally easier. Analytical was more or less the same, And of course, there were probably 1 or 2 number series questions that were not too straightforward. Then when it comes to quant data interpretation, there is this little feeling that probably 10 plus is a good score. Maybe I think there should be more appropriately. I think this is, wait 1 second. This is more like your 10 plus, which is, of course, I mean, there could be a difference of 1 question or 2 questions. 9 would be the lowermost, but however, I think generally 10 plus should be a doable score, given the fact that there is this flexibility of moving across sections that we have as far as Snap is concerned. So we believe that for the Snap 2, right, very similar to Snap 1. See, the funda in Snap is that across the test windows, there's not much of scaling up that is done. So the general feeling that it is a 38 to 40, right? This would be the kind of range that you'll have. At best, it might go up to 37 to 39 when it comes to getting calls from the best of the colleges, which is, I'm talking about SIBM. Okay. Now, when we look at what was there, if you compare this with the previous window, there is not too much of a difference. And most of the questions that were there in English were deemed to be more or less easy or easy moderate. No difficult words that you would have looked at. They should, Rahul, but normally they don't, right? I mean, this has been always the past, right? That normalization. So what they try to do is, I mean, unless they try to change something this year, it is, I know it looks a little unfair for sure, right? Because how can you create a paper that always gives you the same level of difficulty? It's very difficult to do that. But I hope there is a little bit of scaling that they will do. But in general, Snap does not have a scaling. Okay. But we do hope that 2022 will bring in some little more of sensibilities, and then that would happen. Now, when you think about analytical reasoning, there were a few questions that came. For example, in the last set, in the last window, we had linear arrangements. This time they brought in circular arrangement. The calendars was not there in the last set, but this particular test we have got calendars, right? There is this new type of question that came in simplification, but the general feeling is that there were maybe 1 or 2 questions that were a little moderate, right? Moderate to difficult, right? For example, here it was a little moderate to difficult, all right? But generally the score in analytical and logical could range from 16 to 17, right? 17 plus is a extremely good score to go by. Okay. Now quant is where this particular window, the paper was probably a shade more difficult, right, compared to the test one window. And when I say shade difficult, very marginally difficult, it is like the lengthy questions, which was also there in the test one window as well. Um, I mean, one of the feedbacks that we got was the paper was a little lengthy, right? Um, that is the same case, but I think there were a couple of types of questions uh, that probably took a little more time in this. So when I say shade more difficult, it could be like probably somebody would have got one question on an average, about one question less in this particular window when compared to the previous window. So a good score would be something like a 10 plus in this particular section. So overall expected cutoffs, right, is going to be, uh, you know, when we talked about the last one also, we said it will range from 38 to 40, and 38 plus would be a fairly good score, right? Here also, this will be around 38, 37 to 38. I don't think it will go beyond that. From that sense that somebody probably the slightly easier, marginally easier English might have made up for the marginally tougher quant section. However, the LR and AR are more or less the same. So our expectation is something like 37, 38 should fetch a call from SIBM, and SEM HRD will be at least two marks lower than that of SIBM. And the other SIMB colleges, you can think of them, the range can go from anywhere from 30 plus. So this is obviously for the this is fundamentally the gist of what we have. Now when it comes to I mean, if there is anybody who has got the next window and is thinking of probably looking at the next window, and for in this window was the first window. Now I think it is important that what we did after the test one was to make small changes in all the mocks that kind of reflected the actual paper, and we left a couple of mocks as it is because we wanted some of them also to have a 2020 2021 flavor. So there's a 2021 flavor as well as 2022 flavor, because you never know, test one window is not going to be replicated in test two. Test one and test two may not be replicated in test three. But if I take the pattern that we have even in the previous year's snap paper, there is some part of it that could come into your uh, test three window. So just what is it that you need to do? Make sure that whatever is there. So what we'll do is a couple of types of questions that were not there probably in the last two windows. Wherever necessary, we might actually insert them into the mocks or create one mock based on this. So you might actually want to take a look at the mock that is based on this. Probably one mock that will come up, which is we will try to see how much we can get close to the test two window that we will make live in a couple of days, and make sure that all the mocks, so none of the mocks that you uh, uh, that have been prepared or re-edited post the test one window are things that would not reflect, right? You cannot be sure that they will be exactly the same, but we try to replicate them as much as possible as far as the test one and test two are concerned. Remember, if you are appearing for a test three window, it is very likely that uh, there could be a combo of one and two. There could be a combo of one, two, and even the 2021 patterns. So please keep that in mind. Don't ever assume that it's going to be the same pattern that will repeat itself again and again. It will be around that. So I think 38 to 40 was what we said in the first one. And I don't think it's going to be too far away from that. 37 to 39 is what uh, we are saying. More data will help us, and also a good idea of how many people are appearing for this window compared to the previous windows. Those are also going to be important. Was the DI set easier? DI was easy. DI was for supposed to be easy, right? For example, if I go back, Acha, this DI set, okay? So it was fairly easy. Yeah, so the funda was, see, the idea is out of these 20 questions, you should do 10. Those who attempted those DA sets, they might have found it a little easy because the data did not have. But um, if you look at the concept that was used in the DA set, it was easy, which meant that if somebody was investing about, you know, we are talking about 25 minutes for this quant section, which is about if somebody had invested about 2.5 minutes each, 5 minutes for this DI set, I think they would have easily got the answers. Shruti, what we will do, see what we did for Snap 20, the test window 2, right, was we made all the mocks that were given to us, given to people, we changed them a little bit, and then we let people appear for those tests again. We added one more paper, which is almost a replica, which is the 10th paper, was almost a replica of the Snap uh, paper test window. So what we will add is completely new. There will be one more test that will be added, but we will make sure that in the existing set, uh, wherever there are sets, we will try to create 5 of them, which are like, we will try to edit and make sure that 5 of them continue to stay as your test 1 windows, and then 5 of them will stay as your test 2 windows, just to kind of make sure that you have a flavor of both. There'll be 1 or 2 which will definitely be your Snap 2021 paper as well. So that's what we will make sure that happens in the next couple of days. How many of you here have a test window 3 as well? How many of you are applying for window 3? Okay, so this is what I'll try to make sure that the mocks that you already have, right? If you have not taken it, we'll let you probably reset some of those papers. There'll be a test that will come up which will try to replicate the test 2 window. Mock 10 was to kind of give you a good sense of what test 1 paper is. All the previous papers, I think mock 6 and mock 8, we did not change deliberately to keep the 2021 flavor alive. Because you see that test 1 window did not have calendars, but some of your mocks had calendars. So we do make sure that there is a mix. I would never want to assume that what came in test 2 will appear again in test 3, but there'll be flavors of test 1, there'll be a flavor of test 3, test 2, as well as the Snap 2021. This, all the flavors will be there while creating the test 3 window. That's our belief. Thank you so much. So when will the test be live? I think the next test will, you will be able to see it on ASPI on Tuesday, and any changes that we wish to do, we will make it live by Wednesday for all the other mock tests. So mock tests will get updated. Remember, all that is already there in your thing, they will get updated, and the ones, there'll be a new one that will be added on, which will try to give you a good sense of what the test 2 window was. So that is what it is. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Sumit, don't let anybody else annotate.